Om Vasudevasutam Devam Kausachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishno Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishno Vande Jagadgurum Om Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Pranams from Dr. R.J. Kalpana. Welcome to the study of the Bhagavad Gita. In this session, we will study chapter 14, GunaTrayaVibhagaYoga, the yoga of the division of the three gunas. So in this chapter, we will study the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, their essential characters, their cause and power, and how and under what circumstances they lead to bondage and samskaras, and finally how to rise above the gunas and realize God. We have seen in the previous chapter that it is Prakriti that brings out these evolutes, and the instruments like tendencies of the gunas that keep the body trapped in Prakriti. This is a beautiful chapter which serves as a guide for an introspective and a balanced living. So now let us look at the gunas, which are predominantly psychological conditions by which our mind functions, and they are present in everyone in various ratios. So each individual must know and understand what these gunas are, the nature of these gunas, its behavior, and analyze them to determine one's own tendencies and actions. And therefore, we will be able to correct ourselves and adopt the appropriate gunas to reach the divine. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Shrimad Bhagavad Gita Atha Chaturtashodhyayaha GunaTrayaVibhagaYoga. The yoga of classifications of the three gunas. Shloka 1. Shri Bhagwan said, I shall discuss once more the supreme wisdom, the best of all wisdoms, acquiring which all sages have attained highest perfection, being liberated from this mundane existence. So Krishna here says that once more I will divulge the knowledge of that supreme wisdom, of the unmanifested reality and the manifested divinity. Nirguna Brahmam and Saguna Brahmam, knowing which sages have acquired the highest perfection, an embodied perfection in the human form, and have been liberated from the cycle of birth and death. Shloka 2. Those who by practicing this wisdom have entered into my being are not born again at the cosmic dawn, nor feel disturbed even during the cosmic night. So here Krishna says that once we understand this knowledge and we perceive or have this experience of the divine, then they are not born again at the time of creation, and at the time of dissolution they will not be disturbed. Here Krishna talks about entered into my being. That merger or union of the divine, of the individual soul with the divine, is what he is talking about. Now here the cosmic dawn and the cosmic night is said to be calculated, as we looked at in one of the earlier chapters, as a day and night of Brahma. So according to Vedic mathematics, Satya Yuga is said to last for 17,28,000 years. Treta Yuga for 12,96,000 years. Dwapara Yuga for 8,64,000 years, and Kali Yuga for 4,32,000 years. Now combined together, the Chatur Yugas of Satya, Treta, Dwapara, Kali, known collectively as Chatur Yuga, equals one Mahayuga. 1,000 such Mahayugas equals one Kalpa, which is a day of Brahma. Time, essentially in the celestial dimension, is seemingly limitless and infinite. We, with our existence tapered at 100 years or so, might find such calculations to be mind-boggling, but irrespective of which, cosmic times have its own rationale. Shloka 3. My primordial nature, known as the great Brahma, is the womb of all creatures. In that womb I place the seed of all life. The creation of all beings follows from that union of matter and spirit, O Arjuna. And so here Krishna talks about the womb of creation, the womb being Brahma, from which the Creator, the first mind, injects life, and therefore all the creation that follows becomes a union of Purusha and Prakriti. Shloka 4. Of all embodied beings that appear in all the species of various kinds, Arjuna, Prakriti is the conceiving mother, while I am the seed-giving father. So here Krishna says that matter is as essential as the soul. And here we have to understand that there are 4 different types of conceptions that take place in the embodied beings in the species of various kinds. They are broadly classified as Pindaj, Andaj, Svedaj, and Udbij. Pindaj meaning birth that requires placentas, which is generally in the field of mammals. Then Andaj means where there are eggs, and species that come out of eggs. Svedaj is that comes out of the sweat and natural secretions like insects and microscopic creatures. And Udbij refers to the plant kingdom, which they come germinate from the ground. Shloka 5. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, these 3 qualities born of nature tie down the imperishable soul to the body, Arjuna. Nature or Prakriti, being the Kshetra, the field of matter, has to create certain conditions for its survival. There are certain laws of nature that are put in place. It creates gravity, it creates tendencies, which in turn bind the physical body to matter and mind. It binds the mental body to the field of matter. Shloka 6. Of these, Sattva, being immaculate, is illuminating and flawless, Arjuna. It binds through identification with joy and wisdom. So the Sattvika guna is due to the dominance of desire for knowledge. And sometimes it attaches itself and develops ahankar or ego. But at its purest, it is immaculate and it's illuminating. And it binds due to its identification with joy and wisdom. Shloka 7. Arjuna, know the quality of Rajas, which is of the nature of passion, as born of cupidity and attachment. It binds the soul through attachment to actions and their fruit. The Rajasika guna is when there is desire to do actions for selfish interests, unending desires that binds it, where there is passion and attachment. So desire is a relationship to what we do not possess, and attachment is a relationship to what we possess. So the Rajasic person binds the divine to matter through action and attachment. It binds the soul through attachment to actions. Shloka 8. And know tamas, the deluder of all those who look upon the body as their own self, as born of ignorance. It binds the soul through error, sloth, and sleep, Arjuna. So tamasika guna is living in ignorance, where there is no desire for action, no desire for knowledge, but just to be content to eat and to sleep. Tamas is ignorance and error. And in ignorance, we think that the body is the sum and substance of our existence. And there is nothing beyond that, because we are unable to comprehend the nature of divinity. So the tamasic person binds the soul to matter through ignorance and sleep. Shloka 9. Sattva drives one to joy and rajas to action, while tamas, clouding wisdom, incites one to error as well as sleep and sloth. So the three effects of the gunas are: one that leads to happiness and joy, one that leads to action, and one that leads to ignorance. So sattva binds with happiness, so one is content and satisfied in all circumstances. There are no desires left to give rise to unhappiness. Too much happiness also becomes binding, as it results in pride. Rajasika guna binds with action, and tamasika guna has wrong illusions about knowledge, leading to confusion. For example, while you're listening to this talk, we might be under the influence of sattvika guna in the beginning. We listen with the keenness to acquire knowledge. After a while, we start thinking about all our pending chores, and we start multitasking, depicting rajasika guna. And towards the end, tamasika guna predominates, and we start to feel bored, and we look for excuses to stop the activity. So all three gunas are continuously influencing our thought processes. Shloka 10. Overpowering rajas and tamas, Arjuna, sattva prevails. Overpowering sattva and tamas, rajas prevails. Even so, overpowering sattva and rajas, tamas prevails. So Krishna here tells Arjuna that we all contain all three gunas, and sometimes the sattva guna predominates, and sometimes the rajo guna predominates, and there are times when the tamo guna predominates, especially when we had an exceptionally good lunch, all our favorite dishes, and we have overeaten those dishes. All we want to do at that time is just to go to sleep. Now, how tamasic can we be? Right? So, if sattva dominates, there is joy. If rajas dominates, there is passion, actions. If tamas dominates, there is ignorance, and lack of self-control. Shloka 11. When light and discernment dawn in this body as well as in the mind and senses, then one should know that sattva is predominant. When the doors of the body are illuminated, the antakarana, the mind, the indriyas, the senses are illumined, then the state epitomizes sattva guna. The 9 doorways are panchendriyas, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, the pancha tanmatras, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touch. And the mind, intellect, consciousness and ego, the antakaranas. So here Krishna explains about the distinguishing characteristics of the 3 gunas. Predominating sattvika guna illuminates all the senses with the divine light. Shloka 12. With the preponderance of Rajas, Arjuna, greed, activity, undertaking of actions with an interested motive, restlessness and the thirst for enjoyment make their appearance. So here Krishna elaborates on the Rajasika guna and speaks about lobh or greed. There is no contentment, there is no end to greed. So therefore Rajasika guna can be classified into pravrittihi, the desire for action. It is very important to achieve results in such a state, which leads to tension and anxiety. Arambaha is selfish desire. When you work only to show off, you work for your name, fame, appreciation. Ashamaha, restlessness, not having peace even after working hard because of unlimited desires. Spiriha, craving and becoming more conscious about our daily needs. So Rajasika guna increases materialism in an individual, obstructing detachment from worldly pleasures. Shloka 13. With the growth of tamas, Arjuna, obtuseness of the mind and senses, disinclination to perform one's obligatory duties, frivolity and stupor, all these appear. So tamasika people lack discrimination, viveka between right and wrong. They live in aprakashaha, the negation of the light of knowledge, and hence they are incapable of taking the right decision. Again, they can be classified into apravrittihi, lack of activity and procrastination, pramadaha, negligence and engaging in wrong activities, moha, delusional, with no inclination to discharge one's duties. It is very important for us to note, to constantly be alert to what guna is predominant within us at which time. Therefore, we can take corrective measures. In the next 4 verses, Krishna explains that destiny awaits the souls after death is based upon the gunas of their personalities. See, birth and death are predestined. So, gunas, which are predominant at the time the soul leaves the physical body, determine the place of the next birth. So, Shloka 14. When a man dies during the preponderance of sattva, he obtains the stainless ethereal worlds attained by men of noble deeds. So those who die with the prevailing sattva guna get Swargaloka or Brahmaloka, highest abode. It could be the brighter world, or it could be heaven. You spend some time there and come back again. Shloka 15. Dying when rajas predominates, he is born among those attached to action. Even so, the man who has expired during the preponderance of tamas is reborn in the species of stupid creatures such as insects and bees, etc. Now, this is a very interesting shloka because this reveals a lot for us to understand and learn from. A person dying with predominant rajoguna is reborn in a world driven by karma and desires. He needs to do hard work. Still, his desires never end. When people die in tamasic mode, they are reborn in mudhayoni, meaning the lowest of species, where they do not even have the capacity to comprehend. They do not have the discerning ability to think for themselves. They have lost the opportunity of becoming human. So here there was a person called Jada Bharata who was a seeker of knowledge, and throughout his life he walked the path of virtue to attain liberation. One day he saw a pregnant deer crossing the river. He helped the deer, but the deer died after giving birth to a doe. Jada Bharata raised the deer, and when death came, he was constantly worrying about its welfare in the jungle. And so it is said that he was reborn as a deer. His past karmas, of course, his samskaras stayed with him. He remembered the knowledge he had attained, the sattvika life that he led. And therefore, in the next cycle, it is said that he was reborn in a Brahmin family. Again, he remembered enough to remain detached this time round. So he did not speak to anyone for his entire life except one day when he spoke to teach the correct attitude to Kapila Muni, who was traveling in quest for knowledge. And finally he attained liberation. Om Yogesho Satchidanandam Vasudevam Rajapriyam Dharma Samstapakam Veeram Krishno Vande Jagat Gurum Shri Krishna Vande Jagat Gurum. Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.